Hello guys, welcome to my channel and to a Christmas DIY video. As you might have noticed, I've been hosting a DIY advent calendar here on YouTube and on Instagram where I show you cute Christmas DIY ideas every day. And in this video I'll show you my 10 favorite DIYs a little more in depth so you can follow along. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and now let's start with the first one. On day one I showed you this simple watercolor Christmas card. It's really great because it's super quick to make. Here's how. You will need a card or paper that should be at least 300 GSM, so it can handle quite some water, a rather bigger brush, it doesn't matter if it's a flat or a round brush, and watercolors of your choice. For the little snowflakes, you can either use sticker cardstock if you have a Cricut machine, or you can look for some snowflake stickers like I have here. Tape your paper down and start wetting its surface where you want the color to be in the end. Then start to apply watercolor in that area. I'm using a single color, but you can mix and match as you wish. As you can see, the paint spreads very nicely in the wet area, and once you're happy with the result, let it dry. Now it's time to cut out some snowflakes with the Cricut, or grab your stickers and stick them to the card. If you like, you can write something below or just leave it as is. Let's continue with this icicle candle jar. You will need a jar, frost effect medium for glass, stencil vinyl, a candle or tea light, a tape measure, and a sponge to apply the paint. First, measure the circumference of your jar and then go to Cricut Design Space and look for some icicles. Make your design in Design Space the same width as you just measured. And then cut and weed. Make sure to peel off the positive, not the negative part. Next, apply the stencil at your desired height. I use an OHP marker to make some guidelines. If you feel like your glass could need some cleaning first, use some alcohol to remove dirt and grease. A little bonus tip, it's a little hard to stick a stencil to a jar that keeps rolling away, so grab a pack of noodles or something and put it on there, so it can't roll away. Now it's time to paint. Grab the frost effect medium and the sponge and start dabbing the paint onto the glass. Depending on how opaque you want your icicles to look, you might need more than one coat. The medium I have here dries pretty fast, and I would recommend to remove the stencil very carefully before the medium has fully dried, because otherwise you might accidentally peel off some of the icicles. Now all that's left to do is pouring in some sand and placing a candle inside. If you're looking for a little stocking stuffer, the next idea might be just the right one for you. A cute keychain. You will need a rectangle, double the length and 4 times the width of the desired size of your finished keychain, and a keychain element as well as pliers and a sewing machine. Fold the piece of fabric in half, finger press the fold and open it again. Then fold both sides towards the middle and then fold it in the middle again. Pin it and sew all around the edge with a very small seam allowance. Afterwards, bring together both ends and sew. Now all that's left to do is attaching the keychain element. Slide the fabric into the opening and then press it closed. Let's continue with a handmade Harry Potter Christmas ornament. First of all, you will need 2 circles of dark red felt and a 9 3/4 iron-on design. There are tons of files available on Etsy that you can download and import to Cricut Design Space. As you can see, I also prepared a Deathly Hallows sign, which works basically the same way. However, in this case, it's felt triangles. Now it's time to sew front and back together. And I'm using embroidery thread for this since it's really nice and thick. Tie a knot on one end, or maybe even 2 knots, and pull the other end through your needle. To begin with, go in between layers and push the needle through from back to front. And then from behind, push the needle through the same hole, but this time through both layers. We will use a blanket stitch here, meaning you push through from behind, leave a little hoop, and go through this loop from front to back. And you keep doing this until there's only a small opening left, and then it's time to fill the ornament with some wadding, or you can use some fabric scraps as well. Then sew it closed and add a loop of embroidery thread so you can hang the ornaments to your Christmas tree. The next one is one of the easiest DIYs in the whole series because it's only 2.5 steps basically. Paint the wood ornament in a color of your choice with acrylic paint. Depending on the color and paint you're using, you might need a second layer. When the background is dry, grab an acrylic marker and start adding some designs of your choice, like some leaves, stars, words, whatever you like. And all you gotta do now is adding a loop, maybe some beads if you like, and your ornament is ready. Let's continue with 2 more ornaments. The first one is a feldspar ornament, and it works basically the same way as the Harry Potter ornament, except for the embroidery. So I'll skip the explanation on the sewing part with a blanket stitch, go back to the Harry Potter ornament if you'd like an explanation on that, and I will concentrate more on the embroidery part here. First of all, you will need a star stencil. Just Google star and you will definitely find a star that you can use. As you can see, there is a sketch of a snowflake on my star and a bunch of holes. And these are basically guidelines for the most important points of the snowflake, so it helps me to make it pretty even in the end. I just put the stencil on the star and used a ballpoint pen to make marks on the fabric. Once you've done that, you can put the felt into an embroidery hoop, which makes it a little easier to get even stitches, but it works without a hoop too. Tie a knot at the end of the thread and start from below at the tip of a snowflake and then work your way to the middle just as I do here. Once you've reached the middle, go to the little dot between the branches of the snowflake and push the needle through from behind. We will do a French knot, meaning you loop the thread around the needle 2 times, push the needle through very closely to the original hole, keep hold of the thread and pull it through. I will link the tutorial where I learned how to make the snowflake down below, since there are some more snowflake options that you might like. Once the snowflake is ready, sew both layers together, fill the ornament and attach a loop. Let's continue with this pillowcase with a cute Christmas tree applique. The construction of this pillowcase is very easy since it has an overlap envelope closure, so no zipper needed. First you will need a piece of fabric that's the size of your pillow plus seam allowance. In my case it's 52 by 52 centimeters. And then you will need 2 more pieces of fabric to create the overlap. These are the same width as the first piece, but only about 3/4 of the length. To create the pillowcase, you will need to sew the top and the bottom first, then hem the raw edges that overlap, and after that, sew the side seams. However, before sewing everything together, let's have a look at the applique first, because it's easier to do that first. For the applique, you will need some fabric and Fleezofix. This works basically like double-sided tape. On one side you can feel the glue, this is the side that will face the ugly side of your fabric, and the other side is covered with paper backing, on which you can draw your desired shape. Cut out the trees roughly and place the Fleezofix with the sticky side facing the ugly side of your fabric. With an iron, attach both layers according to the instruction of your material. Then cut out the trees and remove the paper backing. Now place the trees on your pillowcase, sticky side facing the right side of your fabric. Then use the iron to attach the left and the right tree. Before attaching the middle tree too, we will sew around the 2 other trees with a zigzag stitch to secure the edges and give them a nice finish. Next, iron on the tree in the middle and sew all around. Now it's time to assemble the fabric pieces as I showed you earlier. Make sure that the right sides are facing, meaning the trees are basically on the inside when you sew. Then turn the pillowcase inside out and you're done. The next ornament only requires a terracotta plant pot, acrylic markers or paints, and some ribbon and a bead. Since these pots have this brownish color, they make a really nice base for a gingerbread house. So basically all you gotta do here is add some snow, a door and some windows or candy cane-like decorations, whatever you can imagine, and create your very own gingerbread house. With markers, you will mostly need more than 1 layer, so the color gets a little more vibrant. However, with markers, it's often easier to work on fine details. Last but not least, tie a knot into your ribbon and thread up the bead. Then you can attach it to your pot and maybe use a bit of glue to secure it. Next up is a super easy gingerbread house card. All you need is a craft paper card, an acrylic marker and some scissors, and a pencil and ruler. Start by drawing in some guidelines for the chimney and roof and then cut them out. The next and already last step is decorate your gingerbread house by adding a door and windows and snow and whatever you like. And last but not least, another Harry Potter themed ornament based off a wood ornament. First, take a knife and get rid of the very rough parts of the bark. Please be very careful here, don't cut yourself. Once you've done that, you can sand it down a little. To get this icing look, we're going with acrylic pouring this time. So you will need some acrylic paint and acrylic pouring medium that you can mix. If you're wondering about the ratio, I always mix the paint first until it's the right color, and then I keep adding medium until the paint starts flowing pretty easily while still being rather thick. Then let the paint flow onto your ornament and use a palette knife to spread it evenly. If you have, you can use a torch to pop the bubbles, but I don't have one, so I didn't do it. This will actually take some time to dry before continuing with the next step. I waited 2 days just to be safe, but this depends very much on the thickness of your paint. Once it's dry, use some green color to add the writing. And the great part here is that you don't have to worry about making it look all nice, because the goal here is actually to make it look messy and improvised, just as the cake Hagrid made for Harry's 11th birthday. So these are my favorite Christmas DIYs this year. Let me know in the comments which one's your favorite. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye!